Welcome to the BuzzBait podcast, your way of something new each week. I'm your host, Lara. With me today is my co-host, Megan, along with another guest this week.
Hi, I'm Morgan. Glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
You know what I just realized? Morgan is actually our first guest because the episode with Jared is lost.
Oh my god, you're so right. I totally forgot about that, even though we just discussed it today. Morgan, you're the first guest!
Guest
I'm
number
honored. Thank you.
Yeah, what a fun topic we have today.
Mhm.
Being it's a spooky time, we're talking about horror movies or horror stories, things, scary things.
I don't like it. Let's continue. I have watched 0 horror movies this year.
I've watched a couple.
Yeah.
I don't think I watched any last year either.
Oh, I watched a good number. I prefer watching them with people, because then I can kind of, deflect a little bit of the stress when you're watching it with your friends. When I'm by myself, there's nothing to do but chew on my own fingernails.
I like to watch them by myself, but I actually have a story about me getting spooked the fuck out because of a horror movie.
Oh yeah.
Last Saturday, yes, I watched this movie. It's called Megan is Missing.
Megan is Missing.
I'm not gonna
watch
Oh.
it. Don't watch it. Don't watch it. My sister made me watch that when she found out that I was talking to strangers on the internet. And she said, "You're gonna watch this movie." And I said, "Why?" Are you aware of Megan's Law, Morgan?
Oh, yes, I am aware of Megan's Law.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It kind of
super messed up.
Well, hold on now. It kind of sucks. The first 70 minutes, garbage. It takes 70 minutes to set up the movie, apparently. But the last act, what the fuck was that?
It's so bad. It's so bad.
It kind of scared me, but the movie itself didn't scare me. I've watched worse.
No,
and so I was just the movie itself, I was just kind of turned it off and was like, okay, whatever. That was a little gory, spooky thing.
It's more fucked up because it's so in reality. Because that's exactly how it really is. It was just a very relatively normal. It was a girl, since you haven't seen it, and I would not recommend.
It's this girl who likes to party, and her friend who's much more introverted. But the friend who likes to party, she's talking to some dude online, and then she goes to go meet up with him. She tells her introverted friend, "Hey, I'm talking to this dude. I'm gonna go meet up with him," and then she's never seen again. So the introverted friend is like, "Oh, well, I know she's talking to this dude online," so she starts talking to him to be like, "I know you did this," or whatever, and then he comes for her, and then you kind of watch what happens to the friend.
Oh, wow.
But it's all through camera footage and webcam footage and stuff like that.
Right. It's very found footage vibes.
Okay. Yeah,
and
that always
it makes
adds
it very unsettling because it's not even I feel with the found footage, what they did with Paranormal Activity, that got used a lot. And then it's okay, cool, Blair Witch, Paranormal Activity.
Yeah.
But it was so rooted in reality because it was so boring, because it was almost did you guys hear about the first time, is it Psycho that came out, that with the shower scene came as such a shock to people because the first part of it was about this person and she stole this money and nobody had any idea what was actually coming in the movie and what the second half of the movie was actually about, and the entire story of it, that it was such a jarring and shocking situation. And I want to say it felt like it pulled a lot of inspiration from that, where it was yes, this is ominous, yes, this is uncomfortable. Is this she's figuring out and uncovering who this person is? At what point is she gonna go to the cops and be hey, there's this dude online? But then she never does, and it turns into something that's actually real life horrifying, and it's super disturbing.
But so with the movie, right? Afterwards, again, I just kind of turned it off and went, well, that was a little funky. But I was home alone. And I'm normally not scared when I'm home alone. However, I was upstairs in my room, and my two dogs, they were upstairs with me, and it was probably midnight-ish, and I hear a crash downstairs.
Ah. Mm-hmm.
And so my dog, I have a black one and a white one. The white one gets up and he just stands at the top of the stairs looking down. I muted everything up here, took my headphones off. I was like, what's going on? Right?
Yeah.
And then I heard this part, still don't know what it is, unexplained, but I heard after the crash, my dog went to the stairs and then I heard beeping. I heard a beep, beep, beep. And that was it. Right? I've
Hmm.
never heard anything in this house besides like the microwave beep like that.
Do you have an automatic alarm system or anything like that?
Nope. There's
Okay.
like some ring cameras, but they don't make that noise.
Yeah.
So I texted my brother first and was like, "Hey, did you stop by the house like and not tell me for whatever reason?" You know, I was like maybe he just came by to grab something. Um and he said no, that he was at his house. I was like, "Oh, cool." So I did tell him like what I heard, and he was like, "Okay, keep me updated, like I'm only 5 minutes away." And I was like,
Yeah.
word. I have a replica sword. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the anime Kill la Kill. I have one of the scissor
I've
blades.
heard of it. I've heard of it.
and,
Okay.
and so I was just like, I'm gonna go downstairs, I need a weapon, right? And so I called my mom. I was like, hey, I heard this noise at the house, I'm going downstairs to investigate right now.
So
And
you would die first in a horror movie.
I had a weapon on me though. I had a sword. But yes, I accept that I would not be a final girl. I would be one of the first 3 to die for sure.
I mean, the fact that you brought a weapon with you though is very promising.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
was not going, if I didn't have the sword and I didn't have my phone, I'd be like, I'm staying up here. I'm staying up here.
I think I'll not. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. There was nothing down there. I couldn't find anything that crashed. I couldn't locate what the beep was. So I was just kind of in my room. I was just sitting up there spooked. I had no idea what the crash was or anything. A couple days pass and my parents get home. My mom's like, "Oh," I say a couple days. It was literally a fucking day. One day passes, and my mom then finds out that what crashed was we have this little like soap holder thing in the shower,
Mm.
and that crashed. And I was like, "That's crazy," because it sounded way louder than that. But it also makes sense because I didn't think to check behind the shower curtain when I
Oh
was
God, what a peak horror movie sentence that was.
yeah, for sure. I didn't think to check behind the shower curtain when I was investigating. But we still don't know what the beeping was, so that's cool.
Hey, yeah, that's fun. That's cool. I
So that's
mean,
my horror movie story because that shit's fucking scared me.
yeah, yeah. Everyone in the house always knows when I've watched a horror movie by myself because no matter where I am in the house, even if it's just for a second, the lights will be on.
Mm.
Yep. Not walking around in the dark after, watching some shit like Smile. Have you guys, either of you seen that one?
I've not seen Smile, no.
Smile came out in 2022 and it's about like some sort of supernatural, I don't know, curse, I guess, um that just causes you to hallucinate until you it's kind of like a like something's chasing you, kind of plays on that fear, or you're
Okay.
hallucinating people from your past smiling at you, and they get closer and closer, and inevitably this entity or whatever it is takes over the person, and that person dies, and whoever sees that person dies now has the curse on them, and it is a fascinatingly horrific movie. 10 out of 10 would recommend.
I do hear that it's good.
It was very good. I think they biffed the end a little bit, but as far as, horror movie endings go, wasn't the worst I've seen.
I feel like sometimes like horror movies they do like really mess up the end sometimes for you. Like
That's Yeah, that's the problem I have with a lot of horror movies is they try and especially the supernatural ones, they try and explain it all, wrap it up with a nice little bow for the audience, and they completely ruin any sense of, scare or mystique that the rest of the movie cultivated. I feel like there's one horror movie that does this that's talked about a lot, but the movie Hereditary.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the ending, like that whole movie is a psychological horror movie. They did it incredibly well, and then at the very end, people just start floating.
See, I've heard a couple of like references about Hereditary, and I was actually thinking about watching that one just because I've heard so many references and so many comments about it, but I had not heard that they kind of just biffed the ending like that. That sucks.
That's a personal opinion. Um, I've I have a stronger dislike for the ending of that movie than some other people I've talked to, just because I had such high hopes watching the rest of it. But the common opinion is that the ending's just kind of goofy. Like
Yeah, that's I was
it's a very intense movie, and then the ending is just kind of like, oh well,
sometimes it's nice to end on a light note, you know?
yeah, but you you could tell they didn't mean for it to be a light note. Like they wanted it to be scary. It's just they just missed. Like, oh, so close.
You know, what's funny is there's actually a study that was done, and it's related to this sort of thing about like this feeling that you get from a movie, even if like the majority of it is absolutely amazing. They did like the study that they did, I believe, was where they had people hold their hand in like painfully cold water for a set amount of time, and then they gave them like a few minutes rest, and then they had them come in again, and they held their hand in for a longer time, and but right towards the end it got a little bit less cold, like just a slight, like still so that it's uncomfortable but not as uncomfortable,
They
and
took
it was
one ice cube
longer.
out.
Right. Basically though, like a few degrees where like it was a difference, but it was still uncomfortable for them. But when they
Okay.
were asked, they didn't know how long each time their hand had been in there exactly, but when they were asked, they almost everybody chose that they would have preferred the longer time, because in their mind right at the end there was some form of relief. So
I
even though it
see.
was longer, and it was like this psychological study about the effect of how much the impact of like the more recent like
Yeah.
sensation has on you. So even if you loved 99% of a movie, if that last 1% really made you be like, then you're going to go, that wasn't a good movie. Even though you could
Yeah.
previously to
Yeah.
that 1% pick out a million things that you were like, oh, I love this about this movie. I love it. But because that one, and it will like stick in your brain as that wasn't a great experience. Even though the majority of it was a great experience, versus something that didn't start out great but then ended really well, people would be like, well, I like that experience better. And it's like this like brain set that humans have.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it doesn't work the other way around because if a movie starts off slow, you just chalk it up to like, it's the exposition, whatever. And then it'll ramp up and the last impression is your lasting impression of the film, show, whatever it is you're watching.
Like with what we were just talking about with Megan is Missing, how it's like the whole movie is a fucking slog, and then the last like 15 minutes are like, whoa.
Yeah.
And it's like that, those 15 minutes kind of stick with you as like, I saw a dead girl in a barrel and another woman gets shoved in there. Like, that's crazy.
Woo. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
It is indeed crazy, and that image literally does stick in my brain. Of like, there's nothing crazier than like watching somebody who's been looking for her friend desperately and is kidnapped, and then she just gets shoved into a barrel with her dead friend.
Yeah,
Like,
crazy.
oh,
Sorry to spoil the
yeah.
movie
yeah,
for you, Morgan,
yeah.
but
I
like,
wouldn't
Oh,
recommend watching it. I wouldn't
yeah.
recommend it. If it was a movie that I was like, no, you should actually go and see this, I wouldn't do that.
Mhm.
but I do not recommend watching it because it's not a good time in any way. My sister used it as a scare tactic to ensure that I wasn't talking to strangers on the internet.
How well did that work, by the way?
It worked really well. Because here's the thing, I have an incredible suspicion of anybody whose face I cannot see. Like, if you don't get on like a video camera with me, guess what? We're not. I don't trust and believe fully that you are who you are. There's no way.
I promise I am who I am.
I've met you in person. You're fine.
As we're sitting here without our cameras on.
Yeah. So I do have an article here from the New York Times titled "How Horror Stories Help Us Cope with Real Life," and I don't know if you guys are going to experience or relate to any of the things that is listed here, but I just want to go through and see if we get any kind of consensus between us.
Yeah, shoot.
So the author, Melinda Wenner Moyer, wrote that, just to summarize it, is that, you know, how it helps us cope is that some people enjoy scary things more than others. And she wrote that her love for horror challenges gender norms because men tend to enjoy the genre more than women do, especially when gore is involved. And this might be because of a cultural expectation that men should be able to handle fear.
I would agree with that.
And it's funny because, like, you say that about, like, men with, like, gore and horror, but there is the understanding that more than anybody else, that people who like true crime are women.
Yes.
Which is crazy to think about. Like, a fake horror movie, women are like, meh. And then it's like, here's a real life horror that happened. And women are like, let me turn up the volume on this podcast. Let's go.
Maybe we're like, let's get this bumping.
Yeah, and I think that's, you know, another coping mechanism. Because statistically, women are more likely to be the victims in those stories. So, I mean, I'm a big true crime fan myself. I find myself listening to it from a mix of, you know, morbid curiosity and also I want to know these things so I can plan for them.
Right, and we're gonna get into that. The article gets into that.
All right, I'll turn it back over to you.
So, but under the same, you know, some people just enjoy scary things. It also gets into like personality types, and it says like research suggests that horror fans tend to be people who enjoy intellectual stimulation and imaginative activities. They're sensation seekers, people who love thrills, new experiences, you know, the adrenaline junkies, if you want.
Yeah, I think I'd call myself one of those.
And
See,
then right
I like a different
underneath
kind of adrenaline.
I was gonna say, well,
Also
right underneath
skydiving.
it says some studies found that people who are feeling nervous or prone to anxiety are also drawn to horror films. Because instead of, you know, having to worry about real life things like bills or you know, finances, dating life, they worry about like zombies and, you know, some crazed serial killer.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, much easier to confront the fictional problems.
Which I agree with to an extent. Like, I'm a very anxious person, but I'm not a big fan of like, let's jump scare horror me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I like a good thriller every now and then, but I think that just like, ties into my like true crime love, you know, like where I want to like figure something out, you know.
Right.
But Morgan, you and I should definitely talk true crime sometime, because
yes, I would love that.
New true crime podcast from Katana Fish coming soon.
There's so many. There are so many. We'd have to. I do have a secondary take though. We'll talk. We'll talk. If you want to get into content creation, we can talk. I've got an idea. Okay, I've got an idea. We'll get into it. We'll spitball. I like wanting to like figure out what's going on and like all the different sides, and so I tend to like a little bit more of like the psychological, like like trying to like unpack what's happening. There are like a few movies that I've seen that really like solidified kind of almost like a distaste for horror for me. And the first one is The Mist.
The Mist.
Yes, it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
The Mist. Let me give that a quick
I feel like
Google.
most people like that one.
I hated it. The ending was atrocious. The ending was terrible.
I don't know. Okay, well, I don't know if people like it, but I know it gets like referenced to like a lot, at least around me. Yeah.
So it's been out for a long time, and there are parts of it that I really think are interesting. Like a guy, he's in this grocery store when this whole like catastrophic thing. I think like the government like opens up a portal to another dimension, and a bunch of monsters just start pouring through. The concept is that the monsters can only see in the mist. And so it generates all this stuff, and then they don't get into like this store until something happens, and like when you try and go out, the monsters kill them, and so everyone's living in this grocery store at this time. And then eventually they kind of get forced out of this grocery store. So a guy leaves with a woman, like a younger woman, which in my mind there's like this weird thing where they're like have like a almost like romantic dynamic at times, and I'm like, dude, you're married and your child is with you. What are you doing? Like hitting on this stranger? Your wife's back home. You're like trying to go and get your wife, but like there's like this weird. I don't know if it was just the actors that had the chemistry, if it was intended. It's been a while since I've seen the movie because I've never watched it.
It's been a while.
Okay, Laura. So like in this whole dynamic and everything, and then there's like an elderly couple that goes with them, and then they're leaving and they're traveling, and I guess these like large monsters, they make this noise, and so they're in the car and they like run out of gas or something, and he finds out his wife is dead or whatever, and his like child is like there's like all these people in the car and everything, and they're just stopped, and they're like we don't want to be torn apart by monsters. His young son is sleeping. There's this young woman with him, and there's two older people. I think it's an older couple, like a man and a woman. And he's like, okay. And they're like, yeah, just, we have only got 4 bullets. So.
Naturally.
There's 5 of us. And there's 4 bullets. And a monster's gonna come to rip us apart. And, they're like, just go ahead and do it. So this dude is like, okay, I'm gonna make the sacrifice, I'm gonna die ugly, and I'll spare you all. And so he does it, and he hears the groaning off in the distance, and he gets out of the car, and he's waiting in the mist, and he's like waiting for like a monster to kill him, and he hears like this groaning off in the distance, and then the mist starts to clear, and the groaning is a tank from the military.
Oh no!
And I said, I didn't like this at all. This was this was the worst experience ever. I hated it so much. I'm like, 10 minutes. Yeah. 10 goddamn minutes. The man just killed his child.
His whole
and then
family.
He has to tell the military of like, and I thought you were a monster.
And the military comes up and he's just like pointing a gun at his own face that's click, 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 because he doesn't have any fucking bullet. I would have attacked a soldier. What the fuck are you talking about, sir?
Yeah, dude. Suicide by cop at that point.
For real, like, this is atrocious. Like, it was horrible. I just remember watching it and just being like,
that's heartbreaking.
Never again. So that was like one that just really, I just like, no.
Yeah. No, that kind of feeling was what I got from Hereditary before it, went sideways.
Mm-hmm.
The main character, the kid, his actions accidentally lead to the death of his younger sister.
Oh my god, it's that movie where he's driving down the road, right?
Yeah. Oh, yep. And then the little sister, played by Millie Shapiro, incredible actress. She's so talented. I love her. Yeah, she gets her head ripped off via high-speed impact with a telephone pole. Mm-hmm. and he drives the rest of the way home with his sister's headless body in the back seat because for some reason he doesn't go back. I mean, it'd be awful, going back, but also
I was like, imagine picking up your sibling's head after you,
after you
ripped it off.
yeah. But also,
That's insane.
yeah, it's such a yeah. So yeah, that one also feels yucky.
But to hop back to the articles super quick.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The one thing that I wanted to just kind of get into, right, was kind of what we said earlier about like it's kind of sometimes it helps us kind of, I guess, imagine ourselves into these scenarios because sometimes they're real. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Yeah.
they write in this article that watching horror movies can help people think through how they would respond to threats, and how during the pandemic in March 2020, the movie Contagion, a 2011 thriller about a pandemic, became one of the most downloaded movies. It's like because
Very
viewers could watch
interesting.
it and in a sense begin to, imagine their own worst case scenario.
Huh. Yeah. I remember seeing a lot of TikToks about that early pandemic. A lot of people were talking about that movie. Um, I had no desire. I didn't watch that one. I had no desire to watch a horror movie about something that was currently happening to me. Um, but I do agree with what the article's saying. When it's something that's not happening to me, or in the cases of like the supernatural horror movies, could never happen. I love watching them and figuring out what I think that I would do in said situation.
Right, because I know damn well that I've watched horror movies and been like, why are you doing that and not these
Oh
other
yeah.
things,
Classic horror movie experience is watching the
Oh,
female
absolutely.
protagonist walk into the dark woods by herself. Or watching the teenage couple at summer camp sneak away because
Sneak away to have
yeah,
unprotected premarital sex, and it's like, well, that's gonna get you killed.
wrap it before you tap it, kids. Wait, no. Kids, don't do any of that.
Kids, turn this podcast off.
Kids, you shouldn't be
Should
here right
not
now.
Yeah, go away. Oh gosh.
Oh yeah. I love
and right.
Oh yeah, no, sorry. You keep
No,
going.
you're good. And right underneath that it says like it talks about true crime and how after listening to a podcast about say like a serial killer, the viewer normally or listener gains insight into what makes people commit such crimes and makes them believe that they'd be more likely to spot a serial killer if they saw one. And
Absolutely.
research suggests that a majority of true crime fans are women because they fear becoming crime victims more than men do and consider what they learn from the genre means like protecting themselves,
Yeah,
which I
absolutely.
fully agree with that.
Yeah.
Like the amount of TikToks, I don't even have TikTok. I don't use it. But the amount of TikToks I've seen on like Twitter, Instagram, whatever,
Yeah, they spread.
of women being like, here's how I protect myself from being like a true crime victim. And it's
Yeah.
like they have like 7 locks on their windows and then 13 more on their door, and they have all these buttons and cameras and stuff. I'm like, I don't think anyone I think you're thinking a little too highly of yourself. I don't think anyone is coming for you.
You say that, but like at the same time, like it really does happen to just anyone. Like
It does. It absolutely
and that's
does.
like what's so crazy about it, and especially like women living on their own. Like they're one of the podcasts that I listen to, they talk about all the time. They like make jokes about like the pillar of the community trope, and they have this thing where they're always joking about like, oh, they always go right from pillar to killer, because it's like, oh, he was a pillar of the community, and actually he was this horrible serial killer.
Oh yeah, or how it's in documentaries they always describe the victim as like, oh, she lit up a room, so it's like, okay, so I gotta be the one that dims it down.
Yeah, for real though.
I
But
gotta,
like,
I mean,
I
but
gotta
just
be
as
Debbie
many
Downer.
as many of that kind of narrative that you see, like it does truly happen to anyone. That's not to say that it'll happen to everyone, because nobody should go around assuming that they have to approach every situation as
Right.
if
That's what I
they're
meant when I said, like, you're thinking too highly of yourself. It's like,
okay.
it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm not saying you can't protect yourself. Obviously, like, be aware, but don't treat everybody as a threat. Like,
Yeah,
I
but
just
still
don't,
like
I guess
live
you can't live
life.
like that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen so much of that on TikTok, where even this product went semi-viral. Probably not on all of TikTok, but definitely on the size that I'm on. It's called the In Case I Go Missing binder, and it
Oh,
is
yeah.
yeah,
I've heard
it's a
of,
little
yeah.
notebook that gives you a space to put your fingerprints, nail clippings, hair clippings, uh, DNA. Uh, you can write down, like contact information, people you come into contact with regularly, just essentially stuff. It's a binder full of information for the police to
Right,
help
it's like
that.
your
Yeah, if you are
eye
murdered,
color, height, weight.
yeah, to
Yeah.
help them identify you and or possibly give them a lead if you do go missing or if you're, murdered. Which is super morbid, but I think that goes right along with, people listening to true crime to be prepared.
Yeah, absolutely. But I've also always said that, like, if a zombie apocalypse or whatever were to break out, I would just shoot myself. I'm not even gonna try to survive. I'm not gonna try to live. I will just fucking end it.
You got me until a human sacrifice is necessary or until my medication runs out. And then the human
Oh,
sacrifice is in
yeah.
fact necessary because
You
it's
got me
necessary for
until
me.
you got me until a gun is in my hand. Then I'm fucking I'm done. I'm ending it. I'm not gonna run around and look for supplies. I'm not gonna kill an animal and cook it myself. I'm not gonna scavenge. I'm not gonna fucking do any of that. I'm just gonna kill myself.
I think I would be on board until I suffered like a tragic personal loss because assuming at that time, my medication would be out, in which case the motivation would be gone. And then I think crippling ADHD over here. Um I think like a deep personal loss would kill any remaining motivation. Um However, that like it's such a different reality from what we're living in. I don't think I'd really know unless it happened. And I think I speak for everyone when I say I hope I never find out.
I know for a damn fact I won't find out because I will
Because
end
you'll be
it.
You'll be
dead.
done.
But actually, there was something that you said. I kind of wanted to ask a question because it was like, with, I mean, you both said, like, you got me until, like, my meds run out or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you think mental illness will affect zombies in any way? Like,
Ooh.
if you
I
if you
don't
guys were to become zombies, do you think your mental illness would affect
The
your
laziest
zombie
fucking
form?
zombie because
the
Yeah.
least motivated zombies you've ever seen.
Or, like, the most distracted, like, they'll be chasing you and then
Um
see something else run off and then just go after that, and then there's something
yeah.
else run off and then there's going after that.
as someone who's on
Shiny objects.
as someone who takes 50 milligrams of Adderall a day, yeah, my zombie me without medication would indeed be easily distracted. There's no way it can be. There's no higher brain function without Adderall, so there's no.
I mean, do zombies have enough brain function for that to impact them?
I
You
guess it
gotta you
depends.
gotta wonder.
I guess it depends on the
I
kind
know,
of
could you imagine,
zombies.
like, but, like, I guess it's like, to me, they have some kind of power. I don't know if it's
Yeah,
brain power or like a
it's
parasitic sort of thing,
something's
but it's
still
like
in there because like
they can still walk, move,
their
eat,
neurons are still
make
firing.
noise.
Their nerves,
Yeah.
their brain's still sending at least the signals to like move your limbs. Um
I'm just imagining like a socially anxious zombie. So it's
oh
like they're
my
trying
god.
to go eat,
Give
but
me a
like they're
rom-com about
Didn't they do that? What is it? Warm Body? Is that what it is? There's like a zombie,
but
and he's like, I don't want to be a zombie anymore because I
Oh,
really have a crush on this chick.
I'm picturing like Walking Dead level zombies, but they're
yeah,
just
I'm not thinking like his skin's just a different color and they're calling him a
yeah,
zombie. I'm
nah, like
thinking like brain is exposed, liver
falling
is
apart
exposed.
at the seams. But
Yeah.
I can't go into
But
the
they're
city
like-
to look for fresh food because what if somebody gets mad at me?
What if someone sees me like this?
Yeah, oh my, this is so embarrassing. I haven't washed the caked blood out of my hair in 3 weeks.
My nails are the wrong shade of yellow. What if they find me?
Like one of those zombies, and they're gonna look at me and they're gonna look disgusted, and I just know it, and I can't deal with that right now. Like,
I'm gonna see Brad on the street, and he's not gonna want to be with me.
I'm sorry, I didn't know if you were mad at me or not. You said in the wrong tone.
Well, that's
Your eyeball was looking the wrong way.
There was that thing about like ADHD
You know I can't
people.
control that.
That's just how I started off. What the fuck? Yeah, Morgan,
Didn't
I don't know
mean
if
to
you've
take a
heard me.
jab
make
at
the-
you. I'm so sorry.
You did. I know you did.
I'm so sorry.
I know you did that on purpose. My ADHD wouldn't be a problem though. Like I think that like there's like that concept of like people with ADHD, like the reason why their brain functions that way is because they had to be like more like easily distractible because of like things for survival. But my ADHD would be less of a problem. I'm on an antidepressant that makes me feel super sick if I don't take it consistently enough.
Oh no.
And so, yeah, like it makes you feel like really run down. You go through like a mild withdrawal.
So
And
the
I'm like,
zombie
bruh.
apocalypse would be real rough for you.
Bruh. Well, I mean, I feel like people are gonna. There's an okay chance that Cymbalta is still gonna be on the shelves because people are like, why the fuck do I need Cymbalta? But then also like when people really discriminate in the pills that they're grabbing, or they just try and grab everything, you know. So
You're
then
just
you run
in there
into that
looking for
issue.
whatever pills you can get your hands on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I feel like they're like, I don't know what's good for antibiotics and what's not, so I'm gonna take everything because
all
I'm
these-
here. And
Yeah.
they're gonna just not, and then I'm not gonna have any Cymbalta, and I'm gonna have to find someone before mine runs out. Where I'm like, yo, you got any of that good? Any
You
of that
got
good,
that
good?
good.
Yeah, you got that good, dog?
Good. How many? And they're like, yo, what you need? Like antibiotics? I'm like, no, bro. I need Cymbalta. Like, give me. I'll even take Effexor. It's worse, but like, I'll take it. Like, it'll do something for me.
Imagine.
I'm just like itching my arm. They're like, bro, chill.
Has it ever happened in a zombie film where it's like there's meth heads, crackheads, or whatever, but they get ate, so then the zombies are then infected by fucking meth and crack?
Oh my god.
Could you imagine a cracked out zombie? That'd be crazy.
So fast zombie?
That'd be like a jockey from fucking Left 4 Dead.
Oh.
Don't know if you guys ever played those games.
I've watched people play. I have it downloaded. I've just never played it because zombie games like just the zombie genre in general stresses me out so much. Like it's morbidly it's a true crime all over again, morbidly fascinating, but it stresses me out more than any other horror genre ever.
The Left 4 Dead games are, I feel like, a little bit more on the silly side. Just because of, like, the thing, like, the game itself, the gameplay is very, like, classic zombie shooter, like, Call of Duty-esque kind of thing.
Okay.
But the characters are just saying, but the characters just say, like, the most outlandish, wild things. It just makes it silly.
Okay, that does sound kind of fun. Yeah, I like a horror video game that can also have like light elements to it. I usually for like horror games, I usually go for like the survival crafting / horror games, like
7 days.
7 days. I haven't actually gotten around to playing yet, but I know I would like it just because I know how the game works and the mechanics and all that.
I love the puns.
I love The Forest and the sequel, The Sons of the Forest.
But, horror movies. So let's get into that.
Totally. I got a couple I could talk about
Highlights.
for sure.
Let's go.
So, like, are we talking, like, favorite?
Yeah, like, highlights maybe from this year,
movies?
like, some really good ones that you saw 2024 recommendations.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, most recently, I've just seen Longlegs in theater.
That was one I wanted to see and I didn't.
It's phenomenal. I I had mixed reviews coming out of the theater, but that was just because the ending, I'm not going to spoil the ending, just because it is so new. It didn't end the way that I hoped it would end, but they didn't biff it like, Hereditary. Sorry for the drive-by, whoever directed Hereditary. You almost did a great job. But
That's rough. You almost did a great
Damn.
job.
sorry.
Nothing
Hey,
hurts more than an
listen.
almost.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, they still made a lot of money off of it because everyone was talking about it, so I don't feel that bad for the drive-by. Um, but Long Legs, it is a horror movie about a serial killer, which right up my alley. Basically just a fictional, you know, true crime. So I guess just a crime. Movie starring Nicolas Cage. He plays the serial killer who goes by the moniker Long Legs, and I didn't know how to feel about that at first because obviously Nick Cage has quite the reputation, and it's not for serious roles.
Right.
He killed it. He knocked it out of the park. He's also wearing a lot of like prosthetics on his face in the movie. He's clean shaven and he has long like white hair. So I spent most of the movie trying to figure out if it was actually Nick Cage.
Or if it was just a voice.
I was like, is like I'm trying to see Nick Cage behind all of the prosthetics. Um, but that doesn't like hamper his performance. He plays an excellent psychopath. And from like a cinematic point of view, the movie's gorgeous. They switch back and forth between using like a like retro camera, so it's cropped for lack of, I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but it's cropped to fit like the old square TVs. It looks
Ooh,
like it's
okay.
being shot on film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it flashes, it goes back and forth between the present and like the main character who grew up in the 70s. So
Oh,
it's
and they
going
shot
from
it
Interesting.
on those different cameras to like help lend to that like time difference. I kind of like that.
it definitely works. There's a little bit of like a vignette filter over it when it flashes back, so it makes the film look like it's a little bit more aged. And then it's just traditional movie when it's in the present. So they did that very well, and the whole movie is very aware of the rule of thirds, uh like framing wise. So
Mm-hmm.
your eye is always being drawn to the background. Like one of the most notable scenes is she's the main character. She's sitting in her home, like on the phone at like a desk. And in the background, like the room she's sitting in is dark, and in the background there's a doorway and the light is on beyond the doorway, so your eye is drawn to the doorway, and the whole setup is that you think someone's going to come through that door and like attack her or something. The movie does that kind of a thing very very much, sorry, very many
Okay.
times I should say. And not once does it follow through and actually have the scary thing coming from the background or coming from where the framing is directing you. Whenever the scary thing happens, it happens up front and center. And the fact that the movie is framed to look like it's coming from behind when it's always like unapologetically there in your face, the contrast of that lends so much to the horror element, and it is phenomenal. Scary as shit. I jumped so hard. But it is just, it's the director's a genius. Oz Perkins, he did a great job.
Yeah, I mean, I do like that, like the idea of because like using the tropes and using what people are used to and like
Mm-hmm.
subverting that to increase the experience definitely seems like a great like opportunity that he took advantage
Yeah.
of.
And they did it without it being obvious. Like it's not like they tried to take, the trope of girl goes into woods, but she fights her way out, and it wasn't gimmicky. It was the whole movie takes itself very seriously, and it's incredible. Um, Laura, do you have one that you want to talk about? I've got one more, but I'm willing to like trade off. Uh,
I only saw one horror movie this year, and honestly, if it wasn't for shout out my friend Jordan for being like, "Hey, let's go watch this together," I probably wouldn't have watched any horror movies that came out this year. Um, but I watched Abigail. It came out in like
oh,
earlier this year.
I saw a lot of trailers for that. I haven't watched it, but it looks interesting.
I it was very very good.
Is that the
And
Really?
vampire one?
yes, it
Oh,
is a
okay.
vampire movie.
Yes, I did see that. That would probably be one of the ones
They
that I like would have been interested in actually seeing.
the whole movie, I went into it not seeing any trailers, literally never heard of it before. And I went into it and my friend gave me kind of like a bit of a rundown, and they were like, "Oh, like this movie, like I've seen so many trailers and I'm looking forward to it." And even he was like, "I never saw this movie going in this direction." Like they took
Interesting.
so many turns in it
Okay.
that it's done well. Like I said, it's a very very good movie.
Huh.
Uh for people that don't know what it is, I will read off the synopsis here. A group of would be criminals kidnaps a 12-year-old daughter of a powerful underworld figure. Holding her for ransom in an isolated mansion, their plan starts to unravel when they discover their young captive is actually a bloodthirsty vampire.
Mm, yeah.
Very good.
I
Very good movie.
did see a lot of trailers for it.
Yeah.
I I kind of wrote it off. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of wrote it off as like it'd be entertaining, but like maybe not the greatest. Um, I'm glad to hear that that's not the case though, because I love a good plot twist.
There are silly moments, like the characters working together, just like because they're all in it for their own reason, so it's like
Mm-hmm.
dysfunctional sort of. So there are like some silly funny moments, and then it's immediately brought back to like they're gonna die, you know? Like
Yeah, yeah. We love a good juxtaposition. That's good.
love it.
Yep. Um,
Yeah, I really enjoyed that movie. I haven't seen any other horror movies. I haven't seen like many fucking movies for trailer movies like period.
I see them occasionally. Most of the time when I see horror movies in theater, I have to admit it is not of my own volition. My boyfriend is a far bigger like horror movie fan than I am. Um, so when we go like when he wants to like see something in theater, it's usually uh his idea. I hadn't uh really heard much about Long Legs at all before we went to see it in theater. He just told me it's a movie about a serial killer and I was like, "Cool, sounds good." Um and then like halfway through realized, "Oh my god, this is a horror movie."
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's incredible. Um
Do you want to do one more movie that you've seen that maybe you really liked and want to
Or Meg,
recommend,
do
and then
you
we
have
can?
any movies?
I
No, I did not watch any horror movies this year.
I
Not even one from not this year?
No,
Wow. What the
I don't
heck?
have any recommendations for
Why are
horror.
you on this podcast?
This I'm a
Why are you
co-host.
here?
I want to shout out Paranormal Activity because I saw it when I was 13 and obsessed with ghost documentaries. It came up in the recommendeds after a
Uh-oh.
ghost documentary that I had seen on Amazon Prime. And I watched it, and it wasn't until the last 5 minutes of the movie that I realized it was, in fact, a movie and not a documentary.
Yeah,
I
that found footage. Oh,
I was shitting myself the entire time. 13-year-old Morgan was terrified. And then they all died, and I was like, hang on a second. They
hang
wouldn't just
on.
upload this.
Yeah.
um, but on a more thorough note, I do have another like movie that I would talk about if we've got time for that, or
Yeah.
you want more talking?
Yeah, you go through one more and then we'll run into the question.
Sweet. Oh, I gotta think of a question. Nah, it's fine. I'll just come up with something. Anyways, uh, this is the okay. So the other horror movie I wanted to talk about is not not a horror movie that's going to win any awards ever, and nor should it. It's not good, but I have I enjoyed watching this more than just about any other horror movie I've ever watched. Um, if you're not a fan of horror and you like a good shit watch with your friends, this is what you need to watch. It's called
Excellent.
Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight 2. You don't need to watch the first one to understand the second one. I haven't
You
seen the
know,
first one.
not to cut you off here, but I hate when movies have such a good opportunity to add the two. They had two night,
Yep. And that
and
is
they said two night too.
mhm.
Ugh.
That's the first of many mistakes that this movie has. It does not get better.
Excellent.
Well, depends on what your definition of better is. So Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight 2. The synopsis on IMDb reads, when something horrible happens to the only survivor of a bloody massacre, an insecure rookie cop must overcome his fears to stop further carnage. Tells you absolutely nothing about the movie. The first movie is about, it's like your typical like teenagers in a camp in the woods slasher film.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the final girl in the end. The second movie picks up 12 hours after the first one ends. Like, sun goes
Okay.
down, sun comes up, next movie starts. And I don't even know where to begin with, like, what actually happens in this movie. Granted, I'm not gonna spoil the best slash funniest slash worst parts. Gosh. One of the things that's not a spoiler, though, that I can say freely is the English dub of this movie adds so much humor. Because this movie is originally in Polish. So the version that is available on Netflix is English dubbed. And it is bad. Whoever they hired for
Love a
the
bad English dub.
truly whoever they hired for the English voice acting, don't act.
Don't. You could stop now.
They just don't. But by God, is it beautiful. And then, in the biggest plot twist of any horror movie, halfway through the horror movie, it stops being a horror movie. And the second, yup, the second half of the movie is a rom-com about two of the monsters.
Poland, what are you doing?
It is.
This sounds awesome, actually. I don't know why you're saying it's bad. This sounds fucking phenomenal.
you gotta trust me. You please watch it. It is incredible. Just two monsters in love. It is NSFW. They do fuck, and yes, it's disgusting.
This is the best movie ever made.
Laura, zero other context. The monsters fuck. This is the greatest.
The monsters fuck.
Why did we keep making movies after this?
I know. I mean,
nothing else can be peak.
This movie came out in 2021. The anti-heroes in this movie are just two racist rednecks. They're minor characters, but like, there's one part in the movie where the main character survivor kids are like, we've got to call for help, and then these two racist rednecks just pull up out of like a trailer in the woods with like 14 shotguns, and they're like, thank God we're saved. Excuse me? And then that's before the monster fucking.
Of course. It would be a
is
little jarring if it was after.
yeah, I know. Yeah, it is a absolute roller coaster of a movie. Um, the runtime of this movie is I really expected to be able to find this faster. Okay, it's an hour and 36 minutes. It feels like
Needs
the
to be longer.
longest movie ever.
This needs to be longer.
Laura, it feels like a long movie. It's fine.
Yeah, but I'm gonna get to the monster fucking, and then the movie's just gonna be over.
No, it is, when I tell you it is a full, like, so it's not like, how some movies do it where they're like classy about it, where like, the characters will like push each other over into bed and then, like kiss for a second and then it cuts. Nope. It is a full like 3 minutes of just like 2 or 3 different angles, and it's
I'm gonna look something up on Pornhub real quick.
You're a
I watched
monster.
this with like 6 of my friends. It was the most hilarious and uncomfortable 3 minutes. Like, they do not cut for time in this movie.
Who?
And on that note,
Let's
what's your
transition to the
question?
question.
Laura's got a movie to watch. We really gotta wrap this up.
Yeah, we gotta go, guys. Yeah, on that note, let's transition to the question. What is the worst movie, horror or otherwise, that you've ever seen?
Oh my god, this is fantastic. I love watching bad movies. Like I watch movies that are so bad that I physically have to stop watching them and come back later. Like I
I like watching bad movies, preferably with like a bottle of wine and good company.
Oh, you gotta be drinking.
Oh yeah.
You gotta be.
All right, Laura, give us a bad movie. And then I'm gonna drop a couple.
I had to run to my DVD collection because I love physical media. So the $5 bin at Walmart has some hidden gems and also some duds for sure. And one of them was this movie called Tooth Fairy: The Last Extraction.
Oh my
And
god.
I own it on DVD.
I'm looking it up.
I'll send a picture later, and we can put this in the picture in the
thumbnail,
the video episode. So audio listeners, you're not gonna be able to see what this looks like, but
oh god, it's a horror movie.
It is a horror movie, and it is probably the worst movie I have ever seen in my entire life. And I also am a fan of horrible, bad, poorly made movies. And this one, I think I made it maybe 5 minutes in before I was like, I can't do this. It is genuinely so bad, and I haven't even gone back to do it.
Oh
because
god,
it was terrible. But I still own it on DVD because I was like, bro, this is funny. Like, who else is gonna say that they own this fucking movie, right?
Yeah, it's
dog shit.
It has a 2.2 out of 10 on IMDb.
When I bought this at Walmart, it was me and my partner at the time because I saw this and I was just like, this looks kind of bad, but also like the good bad, like I'm gonna have fun watching it. And when we grabbed it and the cashier was just trying to make like conversation and she was like, oh, this movie, like I've never heard of it before. It looks kind of good.
Oh.
And I kind of want to go back and be like, hey, do you want to watch it? Here you
go. Find out for yourself.
Very, very bad movie.
Well, it's like,
I wouldn't even. I don't even recommend it as like.
Okay, not like good bad,
you
just
bad
bad.
Yeah, it's like hey, you want to watch a bad movie? Yeah, it's like, it's just terrible.
I love bad movies in general, like especially because I went like on a kick where like I just wanted to watch any movie that had lesbians, and I was like, give me that lesbian, give me that gay content, like let me just watch
young
a bunch
closeted
of movies.
gays.
I wish that I was young and closeted. No, this was like an adult thing that I decided to do because I don't think I really
This was like
did
a
it.
couple years ago,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, this is a couple years
Okay, I
ago.
remember you telling me about like every lesbian movie you watched, and I was like,
Because
okay.
I couldn't get over the fact like what was happening in these. And there's one in
Lesbians.
particular. Well, because I feel like there's like you just don't get access to enough. Uh, to like
Yeah,
there's like a couple
mainstream
out there. They
mainstream
hit.
content is not that diverse as far as like main character relationships go.
What's really crazy to me is the rating, and it's like it's listed as a comedy romance, and it's called Out at the Wedding, and I physically had to stop watching it because I couldn't like get past the like physical cringe and like discomfort with the thing. What's really crazy to me is like the IMDb rating. Like I don't know if they're like if I'm missing what was supposed to be happening with this. It came out in 2007 and it
Okay.
doesn't make any sense to me why it has a 6 out of 10. Like that seems too high. Like it doesn't make
Huh.
sense. And I don't think it's Rotten Tomatoes is bad either. And like there's like this one thing and this is how I usually explain it. Like there's a woman and she accidentally got outed as gay at her sister's wedding, even though she's not gay. But then her sister was like, either you're gay or you intentionally ruined my wedding, but they don't talk. And she's like, well, I don't want my sister to hate me, so I guess I'm just gay now.
What the fuck?
She's just got to be gay in front of my family. And then she's talking with, because like there was like a misunderstanding, like she brought her like gay male BFF, and then he tried to tell someone we play for the same team, and that person was like, oh, so she's a lesbian, she likes women like you like women. And he didn't mean that, and that's how it spiraled. Anyways, there's like this whole like misunderstanding, and then so they're talking because she like lives in a different city, and then her sister was gonna come visit her, and she was like, yeah, I don't know what to do, like, and he's like, well, get like a pretend girlfriend, like if this is what you feel like you need to do, get like hire someone to pretend to be your lesbian girlfriend. And she's like, a lesbian's just not gonna fall out of the sky. And then a woman nearby working on a ladder doing maintenance at this coffee shop literally falls like on them, and
This
she's a
is
lesbian.
this is the most 2007 shit I've ever heard.
And and like that's where it starts, and it
That's
just
wild.
like snowballs into this thing. Like her sister comes and like meets her girlfriend. She's like, yeah, this is my girlfriend and we're definitely gay. And then the lesbian's kind of like, actually your sister's super hot, what the hell? And then starts hitting on her recently married sister, who's like, yeah, actually my marriage isn't working out and I am gonna try and steal your girlfriend.
What a plot twist.
And then she's like, what the hell? You thought we were dating. Yeah, we're not actually dating, but you thought we were. You're not being a good sister. And she's like, I don't know. I've been repressing it, and I thought that we could bond
She's
over
also
the
not
fact
being
that
a good wife.
yeah. She's like, well, I
Yeah,
just
there's
thought that we
that
could
too.
bond over the fact that like I was actually gay, like you were, and I was like crazy that we're both kind of gay, and I was confused and thinking about it, and then you're not gay, and but your not girlfriend is hot, and then all this other stuff about her, like, and then like she was actually like hiding the fact that because she like the reason why she wasn't talking about her relationships to begin with is because her actual fiance, I think he has like a effeminate name, and there was like some misunderstanding there too. But
Hmm.
he was a black man, and she was like, my family's South, like they're Southern, and I think my dad's kind of racist.
Oh my god.
And so like I'm
So she
nervous
thought
about
they'd be
telling
more
my
chill if she was gay?
yeah, yep. Well, they did seem to be more chill about it. So then she's like,
Oh
"Well, I guess I'll
no,
just
that's
be gay."
bad.
Well, that's the thing. And
I
then,
mean,
but then
oh,
she was like telling her sister this, and then her sister was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, well, yeah, Dad's got this like guy that like works for him, and she goes, "They're business. They're equal partners. Dad's not racist. That's racist of you to think that." He's racist and like see this dynamic this way. And then she's like, oh no, am I racist? And then her fiance comes in and talks to her, and she's like, I think I'm racist. And he's like, do you not want to get married? You're not racist. The fact that you're in a relationship with me means that you're not racist. I'm like, I don't think that that's what that means.
I don't know if that's how that works.
Actually,
it's kind of crazy how they just make movies, right? Like you can literally just make any movie you want.
And what is the plot of this movie?
That's exactly my question.
This is a roller coaster.
This is someone who just had money, time, and some like friends, and was like, "Let's make a movie."
And the fact that
I kind of want to watch it.
Do it. It's physically painful. It's physically painful. I watched it one time. I will likely never watch it again, but it's something. It's something. It's not like one of the bad movies that I love. Like a bad movie that I love, again, in that lesbian genre, is this musical. There's a lesbian musical.
In the lesbian genre.
Let's go. Yeah.
Going back really quick. What is that movie called?
It's called Out at the Wedding. But Liberty's Secret is like it's bad. It's like low budget bad, and it's got like some odd parts in it, but I do love it. I've watched that one like probably 4 times. There's some songs in there. There's some songs, because her dad's solution, a Christian woman, like a very heavily religious woman, her dad's solution to her being outed on like national TV because she like started becoming famous because she was working with like a political campaign, like a conservative political campaign. And then she ended up like kissing the campaign manager, who is also a woman. And so yeah, and then they like that got put on like TV and stuff, and then so like everyone's like, oh my god, she's gay, and her dad was like, I'm a preacher, I don't think that's okay. And so then he sends her to a musical theater, like Pray the Gay Away. It's like Sing the Gay Away thing.
A musical theater camp.
They get through one song and she's like, I can't do this. She bails. But they're singing about
awesome.
Like, this is how you be not gay.
So they just sing that one song from the Book of Mormon like a million times.
Turn it off.
Like a light switch.
Just go click. Oh gosh, I love that song. I think I sent that song to at work because I referenced it about something and she had no idea, and I was like, listen to this. This is special. Go ahead. But yeah, no, like it's literally I've never been able to find it anywhere. I literally scrubbed through the entire movie to find the scene on Tubi to show someone this specific song because it's so ridiculous. It's like, like boys like this manly stuff and boys like girls like that, and it's like a song about like what guys should like and do, and a song about like what women should like and do.
Wow.
And that's the proper way to not be gay via song, and it's atrocious.
The fact though that these people think that a musical theater camp is going to make the kids less gay, like, sorry.
Yeah
not to be like stereotypical and reductive, however, for comedy's sake.
But that's why it's like a bad movie that's good. It's like
the logic here is flawed, very flawed.
Of that, like, haha, it's a bunch of gay guys and like lesbian women in a musical theater class where they get to sing the gay away. Like, it's
like, oh darn.
Yeah, and
oh darn.
The dance number and everything where like he like keeps having to like try and repair them up because they like end up dancing, like the guys dance with the guys and like the women dance with the women, and then he's got to be like, oh no, actually you dance with her and he's gonna dance with her and gonna match. And it's just like the choreography painful. And everything is special, but it's
sounds
really
like a treat.
It's really low budget. It's so fantastic. It's on Tubi. It's called Liberty's Secret.
It's got a 5 out of 10 on IMDb.
It's fantastic.
I'm starting to question IMDb now, though, because Out at the Wedding has a 6.1.
Exactly, and Liberty's Secret is way better.
Yeah.
Way better.
But to go back to the question, Morgan, did you have a bad movie?
Oh, I didn't realize I would be answering my question.
Yeah.
A bad worst movie I've ever seen still has to go to Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight too. It has a
wrong.
22. Okay.
Wrong.
From a movie critic standpoint, not an enjoyability standpoint, but I think movie that I've watched and hated the most, just unequivocally bad. I don't know if I've walked away from a movie and hated it thoroughly in like recent memory. I have been watching a lot of like shit watch movies. Uh so I think I'll go with another one of those because this one was genuinely frustrating to watch. I had fun because I was with my friends, and it was a shit watch, but um borderline unredeemable if I had been just watching it by myself. And that is gonna go to, hang on, you can cut out me stalling. I just can't remember what the movie's called. Oh, yes, okay. And here we go. Yes. The worst movie that I have seen recently is The Bye Bye Man.
I've never even heard of it.
I've heard of it.
The
Yeah.
Bye Bye Man is, or was, a Netflix movie. Now it is on Amazon Prime. Sponsor us, Jeff Bezos.
Please.
Okay, so the quick synopsis here says, people commit unthinkable acts every day. Time and again, we grapple to understand what drives a person to do such terrible things. But what if all the questions we're asking are wrong? What if the cause of all evil is not a matter of what, but who? When three college friends stumble upon the horrific origins of the Bye Bye Man, they discover that there is only one way to avoid his curse. Don't think it, don't say it. But once the Bye Bye Man gets in your head, he takes control. It is the most tropey teenagers in the woods movie I think I've ever seen. Right off the bat, they kind of ruin any suspense that the movie could have because you see the Bye Bye Man. Not in like dim lighting. There's a spotlight on his face. You know exactly what he looks like. And the character like shakes their head or whatever because they think they're having a dream, like I gotta wake myself up, and then he's just gone. He never actually does anything. Like, I don't know, there's the movie is just full of plot holes. The villain doesn't do anything. You see what he looks like right away, so the suspense that's created by the thing that lurks in the dark that you don't really it tries to prey on people's fear of the dark, but then reveals what the Bye Bye Man looks like almost immediately, so there is no fear of the unknown anymore. um and the rest of the movie is just like some mysterious death and plot holes that are never explained.
Awesome.
Yeah, and the fact that he's called the Bye Bye Man is kind of goofy.
I just want to clarify for any FBI, CIA member that's listening. I looked up Nobody Sleeps in the Wood Tonight too on Pornhub to try and find that monster scene. And I got a warning that says my search could be for illegal and abusive sexual material. I'm not looking for that. I'm not looking for illegal stuff. I'm looking for monster sex.
You could probably
I promise.
I bet you it's on YouTube.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
It's somewhere.
I mean, it's hard to tell what body parts are body parts. So I don't know. So I don't know if it would trigger like safe search. So you might be able to find it.
Awesome.
Yeah, sorry about that. Everyone who's listening and who's now probably looking it up. I warned you. That's all.
I warned you.
Well, you've been warned. You know what's about to happen.
On that note, thanks for tuning into this week's episode. What should the audience keep it?
Last time it was Keep It Spooky Ooky.
Keep
What
it
do we
spooky
keep it?
ooky.
No, we can't do Keep It Spooky Ooky again.
We can't do no. We
Keep
can't.
it creepily PG.
That does not fit the podcast, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Thanks to Laura.
Keep it creepily PG. Don't look up the monster sex.
Yeah. Keep it.
Keep it slimy.
Laura!
What's up with slimes? Keep it slimy.